The first thing people noticed wasn't her voice, her eyes, or her strange silver skin. It was the smell. Strong, sharp, like wild herbs mixed with something no one could name. When Kelana entered the classroom, every student near her slowly leaned away. A few coughed. Others pretended to gag. One boy muttered, "Not again." Kelana heard them. She always did. She walked to the back corner where no one ever sat, her eyes fixed to the ground. She didn't cry anymore. She had no more tears left. It was the 3rd month of her being the only alien student on the giant Interspecies Space Station, School Unity Core High. But instead of finding unity, Kelana found empty seats all around her. Not because she asked for space, but because her scent gave her no choice. Why don't you just use blockers? One girl had snapped last week. Kelana didn't answer. She couldn't. Her people's scent was not something you blocked. It was part of who they were. But no, one cared to understand today. Something was different. There was a new student, a human boy. His name was Jack. He entered the classroom with a lazy smile and a heavy backpack. The teacher gestured to the only open seat left, the one beside Kelana. Everyone in the class turned to see what he'd do. They watched with quiet excitement. This would be fun. Humans were known for being picky about smells.
Surely he'd
gag and run, but Jack didn't. As he passed the rows of whispering students, caught the scent. He froze. Everyone leaned forward. They waited for him to curse, to wave his hand in front of his nose, or yell, "What is that?" Instead, Jack stopped. He closed his eyes, and he smiled. He sniffed the air again, slower this time. The class fell silent. "That smell," Jack said softly, more to himself than anyone else. "It smells like my grandmother's garden back on Earth." Gasps echoed across the room. The teacher blinked. "Excuse me?" Jack nodded, walking straight to the seat beside Kelana. "Yeah, she used to grow herbs, strong ones. We'd dry them in the sun, hang them in the kitchen. It smells like home." Kelana didn't look at him. She stared at her desk, not believing what she was hearing. Jack sat down, completely calm. No gog, no shifting away. He even leaned in slightly and said, "I like it." Now Kelana looked at him. She had seen thousands of faces turn away, dozens of chairs shift away. Teachers apologize, but ask her to maybe sit near the vent. But this one human boy sat beside her like nothing was wrong. Wrong. During the lunch break, the whispers exploded. He didn't move away from her. "Did you see him? He sniffed it like it was perfume. Maybe he has no sense of smell. Maybe he's broken." Kelana sat alone at her usual corner of the cafeteria. But today, Jack walked up with his food tray and dropped into the seat beside her like they were old friends. "I brought extra," he said, holding out half a sandwich. Kelana blinked. "Why?" "Because food tastes better when you share." He replied. She hesitated, then took it. Slowly he smiled again. "You're Kelana, right?" "Yes, I'm Jack. Just arrived yesterday. But if this is what school's like here, I think I'm going to like it." Kelana tilted her head. "Even with me. Especially with you," he said. "Everyone else smells like plastic and recycled air. You smell alive." Kelana lowered her eyes. No one had ever said that to her. Alive. That word hit her chest harder than anything before. But while Jack enjoyed his lunch, others watched angry eyes, jealous hearts. The popular student Kraylana, tall alien boy with skin like obsidian glass, whispered to his friends, "We can't let that human make it look okay to be near her. If he keeps sitting with her, more might try. She needs to stay alone. That's how it's always been." His friends nodded. Things were about to get messy, and Jack had no idea what storm he had just walked into. But Kelana, she felt it in her bones. For the first time, someone didn't flinch away, and that was the most dangerous change of all. The next day, Kelana expected it to be a mistake. Maybe Jack would switch seats. Maybe he'd smell her again and finally realize what others had been saying for months. Maybe it was all a trick. She sat quietly in her usual seat, back corner. With a book open but unread, her mind raced. Her hands trembled slightly under the desk, and then he entered. Jack walked in with that same relaxed smile, nodded to the teacher and, without looking around, marched right back to her corner. "Morning." "Kalana," he said casually, sliding into the seat beside her like he belonged there. She turned her head slowly. "You came back, of course. Why wouldn't I?" Kalana blinked. She didn't know how to answer that. No one ever came back. Jack unzipped his bag, pulled out a sandwich wrapped in real paper. "Brought this for you." "You skipped lunch?" "Yesterday." She stared at it. "How did you know?" "I watched. You were just moving the food around." She looked at him for a long second, then took the sandwich slowly. "Thank you." But not everyone was happy. Across the room, students whispered again, this time with sharper tones. "He's really sitting with her again. What's wrong with him? Maybe humans are just too weird." A girl named Vieira threw a scented patch at the air above Kalana and Jack. It popped with a hiss, releasing perfume gas meant to hide Kalana's scent. Jack coughed, then waved the cloud away. "That's worse than anything I've ever smelled." The class giggled. Kalana's heart sank. She pulled away from Jack slightly. "They will target you. You don't have to stay beside me." But Jack smiled. "Sitting beside you makes them mad? Then maybe they deserve to be mad." Later that afternoon, Jack followed Kalana to the Garden di Quan, of the only quiet green places on the whole station. Plants from dozens of worlds grew there. Most students didn't come afraid of space spiders and sticky pollen. Kalana knelt near a glowing flower, her fingers brushing its soft petals. Jack sat cross-legged beside her. "You like it here?" She nodded. "It reminds me of home." "Before I left, why did you leave?" She hesitated, then said quietly, "My people sent me here as part of a peace exchange. I thought it would be different." "Understands. They say I'm disgusting." Jack leaned back and looked at the glass ceiling where stars blinked above. "You know, I think people fear what they don't understand. Or maybe they just follow the first one who says something. Mean, like cowards." Kalana looked at him. "You don't fear me?" Jack turned to her with soft eyes. "No, actually. Your scent reminds me of something warm, like stories from childhood. I think it's beautiful." That word "but," kale, single quotes, not froze. No one had ever used that word for her. Not even her own kind, since the scent began to grow stronger during puberty. Not when she started smelling too much. Looked down at her hands. "You don't think I'm broken?" "Broken?" Jack laughed. "No, I think you're one of the few real ones here. They all wear sprays, filters, and masks. You're just you." For a moment, Kalana forgot the whispers, the stares. The shame. For the first time in a long time, she smiled. That night, Jack sat in his room, confused. He hadn't told her, but when he first smelled her scent, something stirred deep inside him. A memory, a feeling. It was so old he couldn't even place it. It wasn't just a garden from Earth. It was something older, deeper. Like a connection passed through generations, he reached for his old backpack and pulled out a charm his grandmother once gave him: dried leaves and stone beads. He pressed it to his nose and inhaled. It smelled almost like Kalana. What was happening to him, and why did it feel like fate? Meanwhile, in another part of the station, Vieira and Kraylon were planning something. "She's changing him," Vieira hissed. "You saw it." Kraylon's eyes narrowed. "Her kind can control humans through scent? Then she's dangerous. We can't allow this." "She's not dangerous," Vieira said, then paused. "She's dirty. We'll make sure everyone sees it." They both looked out over the glowing edge of the space station. Kalana didn't know it yet, but the kindness she received today was going to come at a cost tomorrow. Jack noticed at the moment he stepped into the cafeteria. Eyes not. Just a few glances. Everyone was watching him now, staring, whispering, and none of them looked friendly. He held his food tray and looked around. The room felt colder, tighter. Conversations hushed the moment he passed by. Even the staff serving lunch gave him that awkward half-smile people use when they're scared to pick a side. He walked through the silent crowd, and once again sat next to her kale. Nah, she had her usual food cube, untouched. She looked up at him, uncertain. You don't have to sit here. I want to, Jack said simply, and the whispers started again, louder. That human really has no shame. Maybe he can't smell. He's probably just trying to get attention. Jack tried to ignore it, but his shoulders were tense. His fork didn't feel steady in his hand anymore. Then a shadow fell across the table. Kraylan. His shiny black skin reflected the cafeteria lights like a blade. He stood tall, arms folded, looking down at Jack with a sneer. You're the human who thinks stink equals beauty, Kraylan said loudly. Students around them chuckled. Jack raised his eyebrows but stayed calm. No. I think people deserve respect, even if they smell different. Kalana shifted nervously. Her eyes darted to the security camera in the corner. She knew Kraylan didn't care about rules. Kraylan reached into his jacket and pulled out a small silver spray bottle. Maybe you need a reminder of what clean smells like. Before Jack could react, Kraylan sprayed the perfume right into his face. A strong, synthetic cloud exploded around him. His eyes watered. He choked once. The smell was like chemical flowers dipped in acid. Kale Stinkle quotes. Nah stood up instantly, her scent shifting, becoming sharp, spicy. Defensive, students laughed until Jack raised his hand. Not to hit, but to wipe the perfume off his nose. And then laughed. It wasn't forced. It was real. That's disgusting, he said, shaking his head. Kraylan blinked, confused. What? Jack leaned forward, eyes watering, smiling anyway. That smell you just sprayed? It's the same garbage they use in toilet units? You just tried to humiliate me using bathroom cleaner? The laughter changed. Some students snorted. Others looked unsure now. Kraylan growled, suddenly embarrassed. But Jack wasn't done. You know, it's funny, he continued, Kalana sent. It reminds me of my home. Real herbs, real earth, real life. He stood up and stared Kraylan in the eye. You're the fake one here. Security bots finally hovered in, scanning the area. The cafeteria staff reported the attack. Kraylan tried to argue, but video recordings didn't lie. The bots escorted him out. Jack sat back down. Kalana looked at him, stunned. You didn't have to do that? She whispered. Yes, I did, he said. Because no one else ever did. She looked away, hiding her face behind her hair. But Jack noticed the smallest movement. Her shoulders shook. Was she crying? No, not crying. Laughing. Softly. It was the first time Kalana had laughed since arriving at the station. Later that evening, Kalana sat alone in the station library. She watched a holographic projection of her home planet tall trees. Glowing rivers, the sacred gardens of her people. She hadn't shown this place to anyone. But now, she wanted to. She recorded a short message, then sent it to Jack. The next morning, he opened the message before school. The scene was stunning colors and shapes he'd never seen on Earth. Strange flying creatures. Buzzed around flower-like structures that pulsed with glowing pollen. And Kalana's voice spoke over it gently. This is where I was born, where my scent began. It's called Nelvira. It means living memory. We do not wear perfume. Our bodies speak through scent. To feel, to connect, to remember. Jack held his tablet close, replaying the message twice. He could almost smell the garden through her voice. But elsewhere on the station, Vieira was spreading something more dangerous than scent. She hacked into Kalana's dorm logs and pulled photos of her scent pods. Private footage of her alone, and edited it all into a cruel video titled, The Real Reason She Smells Secrets, the Alien Girl Hides. It was scheduled to go live the next day, and Jack had no idea yet. But Kalana did. She sat in the dark that night, staring at the upload timer. She had never hurt anyone, but now she might have to defend not just her scent, but her whole existence. Kalana sat in the dark corner of the botanical lab, surrounded by tall alien plants that shimmered under the UV lights. It was quiet here, safe, but not for long. Her fingers trembled as she watched the countdown on her datapad. 0 hours for minutes and 16 seconds. 0 hours for minutes and 15 seconds. The video Vieira made about her was about to go public. A fake video. A twisted lie. Kalana had tried to report it. She even submitted proof to the admin system, but they said they needed time to review. Time she didn't have. Once that video was out, there would be no coming back. They'd laugh at her, call her diseased, a chemical experiment, a freak. Tears welled up in her eyes, but before they could fall, Kalana, she froze. It was Jack's voice. He stepped into the greenhouse slowly, holding something wrapped in cloth. "How did you find me?" she whispered. I asked around. "One of the engineers said you come here when you're sad." She turned her face away. "You should go." "I won't," Jack said. "It's not until you tell me what's going on." Kalana didn't speak for a long time. H sat on the floor beside her and waited. No pressure, just silent presence. Then she finally whispered, "They made a video about my scent. They're going to show everyone tomorrow." Jack frowned. "Can we stop it?" She shook her head. "It's too late. Even if they remove it later, the damage will be done. No one will ever want to stand near me again." Jack reached into the cloth he brought and unwrapped a small plant green. Leaves with red veins. It looked like it came from Earth. "This," he said, "is Bacillus prime. It's a hybrid plant my grandmother helped grow. It only blooms when someone nearby is emotionally open. Want to try?" Kalana blinked, confused but nodded. Jack set the pot between them. Nothing happened. He gently touched her hand. "Tell me the truth. What does your scent really mean?" Kalana took a deep breath. The moment her emotions settled, the air around her shifted. Her scent thickened, not sharp this time, but warm, layered, almost musical. Jack inhaled and felt a wave of emotion. He saw memories flash in his mind, not his but hers. A golden field, a mother's arms, the sting of exile, the fear of rejection. He gasped. I felt something," she nodded. "Our scent is not just smell. It's a story. My body releases emotions in chemical form. Only a few species can read it, but humans, your brains are closer to ours than most realize. That's why you react the way you do." Jack looked at her in awe. "You're broadcasting feelings, memories through." "Smell, yes," she said. "And when we trust someone deeply, our scent adapts to them." Jack looked down at the plant. It had bloomed. A soft red flower with golden edges opened wide. Kalana stared in shock. "That only happens on my planet when two souls match." Back at the student lounge, the countdown hit 0. The video went live. It was filled with distorted footage of Kalana's room, edited audio, and fake subtitles. Claimed her scent was a biological weapon, that she could control minds, that the human was under her spell. Students started laughing. Some looked disturbed. Few staff members raised eyebrows, but then the video glitched. The screen filled with another video, authorized but stunning. A live stream Kalana's voice and Jack's face. Standing in the greenhouse, they spoke. Jack said calmly, "I'm Jack, and I'm not under any spell. I chose to sit with her. I felt her emotions. I saw her memories. I understand her scent better than any of you do." Kalana stepped forward, her voice steady. "To my people, scent is how we share love, sadness, and trust. What you smell is not poison. It's my truth." And Jack, he heard it. Students froze. Some were confused, but others started leaning in, listening. In the admin tower, Principal Thorin watched the feed with wide eyes. Behind him, medical researchers whispered rapidly, checking human neural scans. One of them gasped. "She's unlocked human sensory recall through olfactory transmission. This hasn't happened in over 300 years. Thorin muttered, "She's not a problem. She's a bridge." Back in the greenhouse, Jack reached for her hand again. "So, does this mean we're scent matched?" he asked, half joking. Kalana blushed, her cheeks glowing faintly blue. "It means you're the first one who truly listened." Outside the greenhouse, other students gathered, peering through the glass. For the first time, they weren't covering their noses. They were curious. Something had changed. And the girl they once avoided was now the center of everything. End of part 4. Shall I begin part 5? Memory locked in smell? you said. Start with part 5 more unique, ChatGPT said. Part 5, memory locked in smell, 800 words. Third person, simple English, emotional and suspenseful Jack sat alone in his room, lights dimmed, holding the small red flower from the Bacillus prime plant in his palm. It had bloomed yesterday only, when Kalana shared her emotions through her scent. Now the flower stayed open, even hours later. It pulsed faintly like a heartbeat. Jack lifted it closer to his nose and inhaled. Suddenly, he wasn't in his room anymore. He was in a dusty old kitchen on Earth. The air smelled of stew, firewood, and dry herbs hanging from the ceiling. A woman's voice, his grandmother, laughed softly in the background. He remembered everything. The warmth of the fire, the feel of her hand ruffling his hair, the exact tone of her voice, long forgotten. Jack stumbled backward, shaken. It was more than memory. It was like he'd stepped into the past. And he was sure of one thing. Kalana's scent had unlocked it. The next morning, he found Kalana sitting in the open courtyard under the artificial sunrise. Birds, holographic ones, sang in the fake trees. She was alone, staring up at the sky dome. Jack sat beside her without a word. She looked at him with calm eyes. You felt it, didn't you? He nodded slowly. Remembered my grandmother's house, not just the smell. Everything. I was there. Kalana smiled faintly. Your brain held the memory, but my scent helped pull it forward. My people call it Velanira, a memory awakening. Have you done this before with others? No, she said. You're the first human, and the first person ever to awaken one this strong. Jack frowned. So what does it mean? Kalana hesitated, then whispered, It means we're bonded not by choice, but by something deeper. Word spread fast. Students began testing it. A few brave ones approached Kalana with curiosity instead of disgust. Some even asked if she could help them remember lost things. She always shook her head gently. It doesn't work like that, she said. The bond is rare. I can't make it happen. It must form naturally. Still, rumors flew across the station. The alien girl who can unlock your past, smell her, and see your childhood. Her scent made the human cry. The once lonely girl was now the subject of fascination and growing jealousy. Meanwhile, Vieira watched everything from the shadows. She gritted her teeth as Kalana stood in the courtyard surrounded by friendly students. Do they seriously like her now? Kraylon stood beside her, still under punishment but allowed back into common areas. She turned herself into a myth, he said coldly. People worship myths. Vieira hissed. Then we'll break the myth. Later that evening, Jack walked into his quarters to find a file waiting on his console. No sender. Curious. He opened it. It was a video, grainy, low quality, and clearly stolen. Showed Kalana in her dorm at night, her scent glands glowing faintly, the air thick with visible waves of aroma. She was crying, talking to herself in her native tongue. A mechanical voice translated over it. They will never love you. You are only a tool. Jack's blood turned cold. He knew Kalana never said that. Someone was trying to twist her again, but this time, he wouldn't stay quiet. The next day, Jack stood before the entire class, projected the fake video, then paused it. This is fake, he said firmly. And whoever made this crossed a line. This isn't just bullying anymore. This is attack. The teacher started to protest, but Jack continued. I know this because I've seen Kalana's truth. I've felt her pain. Her scent doesn't just smell nice. It heals. And this is nothing but fear in disguise. He turned to the students. She had the power to control us. Don't you think she would have done it already? She hasn't hurt a soul, and yet people keep hurting her. Silence. Even Vieira didn't speak. Kalana sat at the back of the room, hands folded tightly in her lap. Her eyes were glassy, but she held her head high. For the first time, no one laughed. Later, as the day ended, Kalana met Jack near the greenhouse again. She didn't speak at first, just handed him something wrapped in soft blue silk. He opened it slowly. Inside was a small crystal stone, shaped like a teardrop, warm to the touch. This is a memory anchor, Kalana explained softly. When bonded, We give these to the one we trust most. It holds the scent signature of the bond forever. Even if I leave, we'll keep the connection alive. Jack looked at it in awe. What do I do with it? Kalana smiled gently. Whatever you want, just remember me. But neither of them noticed the cloaked figure watching from above. Someone had forwarded their bond data to a private research lab off station. To someone who believed Kalana's scent wasn't just a gift, but a weapon. And they were coming for her. Jack sat alone in his room, lights dimmed, holding the small red flower from the Bacillus prime plant in his palm. It had bloomed yesterday, only when Kalana shared her emotions through her scent. Now the flower stayed open. Even hours later, it pulsed faintly. It's like a heartbeat. Jack lifted it closer to his nose and inhaled. Suddenly, he wasn't in his room anymore. He was in a dusty old kitchen on Earth. The air smelled of stew, firewood, and dry herbs hanging from the ceiling.
A woman's
Voice's grandmother laughed softly in the background. He remembered everything, the warmth of the fire, the feel of her hand ruffling his hair, the exact tone of her voice, long forgotten. Jack stumbled backward, shaken. It was more than memory. It was like he'd stepped into the past, and he was sure of one. The thing Kalana's scent had unlocked. The next morning, he found Kalana sitting in the open courtyard under the artificial sunrise. Birds, holographic ones, sang in the fake trees. She was alone, staring up at the sky dome. Jack sat beside her without a word. She looked at him with calm eyes. You felt it, didn't you? He nodded slowly. Remembered my grandmother's house, not just the smell, everything. I was there. Kalana smiled faintly. Your brain held the memory, but my scent helped pull it forward. My people call it Velanira, a memory awakening. Have you done this before with others? No, she said. You're the first human, and the first person ever to awaken one this strong. Jack frowned. So what does it mean? Kalana hesitated, then whispered it means we're bonded, not by choice, but by something deeper. Word spread fast. Students began testing it. A few brave ones approached Kalana with curiosity instead of disgust. Some even asked if she could help them remember lost things. She always shook her head gently. It doesn't work like that, she said. The bond is rare. I can't make it happen. It must form naturally. Still, rumors flew across the station. The alien girl who can unlock your past, smell her, and see your childhood. Her scent made the human cry. The once lonely girl was now the subject of fascination and growing jealousy. Meanwhile, Vieira watched everything from the shadows. She gritted her teeth as Lana stood in the courtyard surrounded by friendly students. Do they seriously like her now? Kraylon stood beside her, still under punishment but allowed back into common areas. She turned herself into a myth, he said coldly. People worship myths, Vieira hissed. Then we'll break the myth. Later that evening, Jack walked into his quarters to find a file waiting on his console. No sender. Curious, he opened it. It was a video grainy, low quality, and clearly stolen. It showed Kalana in her dorm at night, her scent glands glowing faintly, the air thick with visible waves of aroma. She was crying, talking to herself. In her native tongue, a mechanical voice translated over it, "They will never love you. You are only a tool." Jack's blood turned cold. He knew Kalana never said that. Someone was trying to twist her again. But this time, he wouldn't stay. Quiet the next day. Jack stood before the entire class. He projected the fake video, then paused it. This is fake, he said firmly. And whoever made this crossed a line. This isn't just bullying anymore. This is attack. The teacher started to protest, but Jack continued. I know this because I've seen Kalana's truth. I've felt her pain. Her scent doesn't just smell nice, it connects. It heals. And this is nothing but fear in disguise. He turned to the students. If she had the power to control us, don't you think she would have done it already? She hasn't hurt a soul. And yet people keep hurting her. Silence. Even Vieira didn't speak. Kalana sat at the back of the room, hands folded tightly in her lap. Her eyes were glassy, but she held her head high. For the first time. No one laughed. Later, as the day ended, Kalana met Jack near the greenhouse again. She didn't speak at first, just handed him something wrapped in soft blue silk. He opened. It slowly inside was a small crystal stone, shaped like a teardrop, warm to the touch. This is a memory anchor, Kalana explained softly. When bonded, we give these to the one we trust most. It holds the scent signature of the bond forever, even if I leave. It will keep the connection alive. Jack looked at it in awe. And what do I do with it? Kalana smiled gently. Whatever you want, just remember me. But neither of them noticed the cloaked figure watching from above. Someone had forwarded their bond data to a private research lab off-Dash Station to someone who believed Kalana's scent wasn't just a gift, but a weapon. And they were coming for her. The order came silently. No school announcement, no meeting, no warning. Kalana was simply missing the next morning. Her seat was empty. Jack noticed it immediately. Her books were gone. Her scent, always faint in the air, was completely absent. It was like she had never been there. Jack's chest tightened. He ran to her dorm, locked. He tried messaging her. No reply. He checked the medical wing, the garden dome. Even the ventilation access where she liked to hide sometimes. Nothing. That's when he knew. Someone had taken her. He stormed into the administration office, demanding answers. Principal. Thorin looked up from his desk, frowning. She's been removed from general population for safety. Whose safety? Jack snapped. Thorin sighed. There's been concern. Outside interest. Some believe her. Abilities pose a potential risk to emotional stability among students. Especially you. She's not a threat, Jack shouted. She's a person. She's been transferred to Isolation Bay for observation. It's only temporary, the principal said calmly. You should return to class, Jack slammed. His hands on the desk. You're afraid of her because you don't understand her? No, Thorin replied quietly, because someone else does. And they want her. Jack froze. That night, Jack snuck out. He wore a stolen engineering jacket and bypassed the lower halls, using his grandmother's old access codes. Isolation. Bay was hidden beneath the main station, where light didn't reach and the air was cold and dry. It smelled. Empty, through a glass wall. He finally saw her. Kalana was sitting cross-legged in a white chamber, her eyes closed, scent glands dim and weak. She looked smaller somehow. Fragile Kalana, he whispered. She opened her eyes slowly. Jack pressed his hand against the glass. I'm getting you out. She shook her head. You shouldn't be here. They said I'm dangerous, that I'm manipulating you. You're not. I tried to fight it, but they put blockers in the vents. Can't even feel anymore. My scent is fading, Jack. I feel like I'm disappearing. Jack clenched his fists. I'm not letting them take you. That's when the floor shook. The entire chamber dimmed, and a cold, unfamiliar voice echoed overhead. Test subject Kale 7 confirmed. Prepare for off-world transport. Jack hid in the shadows as two tall figures in black biosuits entered the corridor. Their gear wasn't from the school. It was military. He listened as they spoke to each other in short-coded phrases. She's the first confirmed emotional link case in a century. Orders from Helix Group. Keep her scent under suppression until arrival. Jack's heart raced. They weren't studying her. They were stealing her. He couldn't let that happen. He ran fast, straight to the robotics bay, if the school wouldn't help. Maybe the emergency droids would. 10 minutes later, alarms blared. Across the station, unauthorized transport breach detected. Security mechs rolled down the halls. Jack returned to Isolation Bay. Just in time to see the biosuit agents unlock Kalana's chamber. Step forward, one ordered. Kalana tried, but stumbled too weak to stand. Don't touch her. Jack roared, charging in behind them. The agents turned. But too late. Jack activated the backup emergency override. The floor panels lit up, and the room sealed itself, trapping the agents inside. Jack rushed to Kalana's side, holding her. Close, her scent was barely there, thin and broken. I'm here, he whispered. Stay with me. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I didn't want to leave you. They made it sound like I was dangerous. You're not, he said. You're important. He reached into his jacket and pulled out the teardrop memory. Crystal, she gave him. It was glowing, faint, but alive. He held it to her scent gland. The reaction was instant. A pulse of warm air surrounded them. Scent bloomed, not just Kalana-S, but something new. A bond completed. The entire chamber shimmered, and the agents behind the glass stared in stunned silence. Subject has bonded. One said quietly, too late to separate now. As the backup systems rebooted and security bots rushed in, Jack helped Kalana to her feet. She leaned on him, weak but smiling. You came for me, she whispered. Always. The lights above flickered. Good-da-da-da-da-da, and a new announcement echoed across the station. Human-linked emotional scent activation detected. Classification changed. Kalana is no longer under observation. Protection protocols activated. The station had finally recognized the truth, and now they could no longer keep her hidden. They didn't try to hide her anymore after the bond completed between Kalana and Jack. Things changed fast. The station no longer treated her like a risk. She wasn't called Subject, or the alien girl with the scent. She was now known by her name, Kalana Valthera. It's the first Kalana in over 2 centuries to form a full, emotional link bond with a human. But it wasn't peace for everyone. Some still whispered, some still glared, but none dared come near her the way they used to, not with Jack beside her. They walked through the school halls now without fear. Kale didn't flinch when students passed her. She didn't hide her face or try to suppress her scent. And Jack, he never left her side. Where she went, he followed, and wherever they were, the air felt different, calmer, deeper. Students said it was like stepping into a memory from there. Childhood they couldn't explain. Teachers said it helped students focus. Even the principal admitted he slept better since. Kalana was freed. Something had changed and no one could ignore it. One evening, the Galactic Unity Board requested a public address from Kalana and Jack. They stood on a wide platform, with hundreds of alien species watching on screens across the galaxy. The moderator, sharp-looking senator from the Andalore system, spoke first. Kalana, do you understand the power you carry? Kalana stood tall. I do, and I never wanted to use it for harm. My scent is not a weapon. It's how my people speak. It's how we connect. It's how we feel. The senator turned to Jack. And you, human. How do you explain your connection to her? Jack stepped forward. I didn't plan it. I didn't even understand it at first. But the moment I met her, I felt something familiar. Her scent reminded me of home. And then it brought my memories back. Ones I didn't even know I had lost. I looked at Kalana. It's not magic. It's not mind control. Memory, emotion, truth. It's what humans forgot a long time ago. How to feel deeply. The speech went viral. Millions across the galaxy watched and rewatched it. People began researching culinary culture. Demand for peace talks with her people exploded. Books were written. Songs were composed. Some even claimed they had memories. Awakened just by watching the stream. Kalana was no longer an outcast. She was a symbol of something ancient, something powerful, and something beautiful. But Kalana didn't care about fame. She still spent most evenings in the greenhouse. With Jack, her bare feet touched the soil, her scent floating softly as she taught him her language through sound and smell. Each scent note carries a word. She explained one night, but when you mix emotions, the meanings change, like poetry. Jack said. She smiled. Exactly. He handed her a small jar filled with dried herbs from Earth. I made you something. She opened it and sniffed, then closed her eyes. A tear slipped down her cheek. You recreated my memory, she whispered. It's our memory now, he said gently. Months passed. Together. Designed a hybrid project merging culinary, scent communication with human scent receptors. The goal? A device that could help others connect through memories? especially those with trauma, memory loss, or grief. They called it the VEL-link. It started as a student project, it became a galactic revolution, and at the center of it all was a girl once mocked for how she smelled. One afternoon, as the artificial sun warmed the station gardens, Kalana sat quietly beside Jack, holding a small vial of her scent mixed with his. "Jack," she asked, voice soft, "would you ever come to my homeworld?" He looked at her. "Only if I can bring my memories?" "With me." "You already are one," she said. Then she leaned in. Her scent shifted, not defensive, not uncertain, but calm, warm, and deeply bonded. Jack closed his eyes in that moment. He remembered not just Earth, but her too. Her voice, her laughter, her scent, and he knew. This was more than a bond. It was love, the kind that didn't need words. Only breath, only memory, only truth.